So hi, we are here for our vlog. The title is the Dominican Republic of RIZAL. So first, let me just tell you who is Jose Rizal. So Jose Rizal was a national hero of the Philippines and the first Asian nationalist. He expressed growing national consciousness of many Filipinos who opposed Spanish colonial tyranny and aspired to attain democratic rights. Jose Rizal was born in Calamba, Laguna on June 19, 1861, to a well-to-do family. He studied at the Jesuit Ateneo Municipal in Manila and won many literary honors and prizes. He obtained a Bachelor of Arts degree with the highest honors in 1877. For a time being, he studied at the University of Santo Tomas, and in 1882 he left for Spain to enter the Central University of Madrid, where he completed his medical and humanistic studies.
Jose Rizal and the Dominican Connection. Rizal's connection with the Dominicans began even before he was born. His Chinese great-grandfather, Domingo Lamco, was befriended by the Dominicans, who sent him to Biñan, where he helped construct the irrigation canals in the state. In 1833, the Dominicans bought the Calamba estate south of Biñan from a Spanish layman and opened it to tenants. The Dominicans used their earnings from their properties to support educational institutions such as the University of Santo Tomas, the Colegio de San Juan de Letran, orphanages, and their missions in the Philippines and abroad such as in China. Rizal's father, Don Francisco, moved to Calamba from Biñan. He became a primary tenant of the Calamba estate. He then leased the land he rented to the other tenants who did most of the farming. Don Francisco has been productive and gained the favor of the Dominicans because he was able to lease more lands in the south in a Pansal area with no obligation to pay for the first 5 years, since the Mercado and his tenants were the ones doing the clearing. In time, the farmlands became very productive. Rizal's family was able to defray his expenses as a student at the Ateneo, the University of Santo Tomas, and his later studies. An announcement on May 14, 1872 stating that the examination dates were set from June 1 to 15, 1872. It stated that the examinations will be held either at the University of Santo Tomas or at the Colegio de San Juan de Letran. Accompanied by his brother Paciano, Rizal left for Manila on June 10, 1872. Paciano brought with him a document signed by their father declaring that on behalf of Jose, what course has been chosen for him to take, what school, Rizal's age, and his intended residence in Manila, and his baptismal certificate. Rizal took his qualifying examinations at the Colegio de San Juan de Letran, and Rizal was given a choice for to take up his secondary education either at Colegio de San Juan de Letran, which was run by the Dominicans, or at the Ateneo de Manila, which was managed by the Jesuits. Rizal chose to enter Ateneo. His decision was a personal one. For the next 10 years, from 1872 to 1882, Rizal would be a Manila student. Of these 5 years were spent at the Ateneo, and the remaining were at the University of Santo Tomas. Even as a student of Ateneo, Rizal could not help avoiding the influence of the Dominicans. Since the rector of the University of Santo Tomas was the ex officio head of all secondary and higher education in the island, the Dominicans in their habits can be seen walking in the class of Ateneo. They were there to supervise instruction in the Jesuits institution. Every year, the rector of the university sends examiners to the Ateneo to conduct or supervise the final examinations. We can only imagine how a young boy like Rizal reacted under the inquisitive sight of the Dominican inspectors. Perhaps This is reflected in El Filibusterismo. When Rizal's mother, Doña Theodora, was accused of attempting to poison his aunt in 1872, Rizal's family hired the services of two lawyers, Don Francisco de Marcada and Don Manuel P. Marzano, who were both professors of the university. Through their legal services, Doña Theodora was released from the provincial jail of Santa Cruz in 1874. When Rizal finished his education at the Ateneo, he received his Bachelor in Arts diploma, which was issued by the University of Santo Tomas. No school in the Philippines except the University of Santo Tomas was empowered to confer academic titles. After having passed his final examination on March 14, 1878, Rizal went to the University of Santo Tomas to obtain his coveted diploma, which carried the distinction of sobresaliente, which was issued on March 20 of that year.
Título de Bachiller en Artes sa pabor de Don Jose Rizal Mercado y Alonso. In Manila, arguments for the retention of the university under Dominican control were presented by University Rector Father Domingo Tresara on February 21, 1871. In Madrid by the Dominican Procurator General of the Philippines, Father Francisco Rivas on January 26, 1871, and his successor and later Manila Archbishop Pedro Payo on October 25, 1871. The Murray Decree would have spelled the end of the university, which was then 260 years old. Under the decree, the rector would be a layman and appointed by the government, and two new faculties would be created, medicine and pharmacy, which would be the backbone of the center of learning. One may notice the name Universidad de Filipinas in the diploma. The Dominicans naturally protested the decree and respectfully sent officials to present the case of the university at the Overseas Ministry. One may assume that this was the work of anti-clerical forces which ousted Queen Isabella in 1868, but they also had the objective of modernizing the educational system in the Philippines. The decrees suppressing the educational institutions were not implemented because the change of government in Spain. Amadeo de Savoy was proclaimed king on January 2, 1871, and began changing ministries and policies. By the time Rizal entered the University of Santo Tomas, it had the following faculties consisting of the Faculty of Theology, Faculty in Canon Law, Faculty of Civil Law, Faculty of Medicine, Faculty of Pharmacy, and the Notarial School. The establishment of this school allowed women for the very first time to be enrolled in the university. Only married women or widows over the age of 20 were allowed to enroll in the school, and they should be endorsed by their parish priest. UST was the establishment of the school for medical practitioners, and the school for pharmaceutical practitioners were established in 1880. Classes for pathology, medical, and clinical surgery were held at the San Juan de Dios Hospital in Morelos Street, where the Lyceum of the Philippines stands today. The Dominicans fitted the building, built special halls, and with equipment. Rizal would attend his classes there. The Tomasian Rizal. By the time Rizal enrolled at the University of Santo Tomas, he was at the crossroads of his life, and like many students, he was unsure of what course to take. His mother objected to his getting higher education after finishing his studies at the Ateneo. She wanted him to help the family in its businesses. She feared that the additional knowledge the Spanish authorities might cut off Jose's head, which they used to challenge Spanish rule in the islands. A family council was held, and Don Francisco and Pasiano were able to prevail over Dona Teodora's objections. Rizal would have taken up law, which his father preferred. He was left to decide for himself. In the following term, in 1878 to 1879, Jose decided to shift to medicine. On the year of Rizal's entry to the university in 1877, the first graduates of the course were produced. The university authorities were petitioning the government to give priority to local graduates over positions from the peninsula for the positions in the health department. The University of Santo Tomas was the first in colonial Asia to introduce education in the profession in 1871 along with the pharmacy. The ecclesiastical faculties at the time there was a steady increase in the enrollment in the medicine and pharmacy faculties. These circumstances were the more likely reason why Rizal decided to take up medicine. Upon entering the university, Rizal noticed a great difference from his experience at the Ateneo. Students who were lazy used the free time to do la cuacha or play truant. Some would even cut classes. The more diligent students made productive use of their time by taking up vocational courses at the Ateneo. Rizal passed the final examination for the course, but he could not practice the surveyor's profession since at the age of 17 he was underaged. He was issued the certificate of November 15, 1881, when he was 20 years old. Rizal's contemporaries such as Rafael Palma were able to take a 2-year course in commerce also at the Ateneo. Rizal was president of the Academy of Spanish Literature and continued his membership in the Marian congregation where he held the post of secretary. Here, he made a detailed account of his life from his childhood up December 1877.
Another activity afforded by his time is his social life. Rizal formed a group with his fellow student called El Compañerismo or the Comradeship, inspired by Alexander Dumas, the Three Musketeers. The group broke up in 1882 after Rizal left for Europe. Another activity afforded by his time is his romantic pursuit. After the loss of Segunda Katigbak in 1877, he eyed the affection of this mysterious girl named Miss L. They said that it was the daughter of Concepcion Leyva, the richest woman in Manila. There was also Leonor Valenzuela, the charming daughter of his landlady's neighbor Juan Valenzuela. Next is Vicenta E. Bardaloza of Pagsanghan. Rizal's next love was Leonor Rivera, but their love still never lasted. Rizal's first subject in the university belongs to the preparatory course of theology and law. Moreover, this subject had to be studied in Latin. Teaching this subject is Father Juan Villa, the orator of the Discurso de Apertura during Rizal's first year in UST. He received the doctorate in theology in January 1877 from Father Manuel Puebla. Both professors signed Rizal's grade sheet in all 4 subjects. Rizal garnered the grades of sobresaliente or excellent of this subject. By June of 1878, Rizal definitely resolved to take up medicine after he visited his mother that had illnesses. When Rizal had shifted to medicine, all prospective students were required to take a preparatory course called Curso de Aplicación, which consisted of an advanced course in physics, chemistry, and natural history. Aside from Rizal, 3 other students were given the privilege to take up the Curso de Aplicación from first-year medicine. The reason for the exemption given to Rizal and 3 others were not given. This showed that Rizal, who has described as a victim of discrimination by the Dominicans, was actually favored by them. Even if he was taking up the ampliación and first-year medical courses at the same time, Rizal found time for other activities like music, playing piano, and painting. Because of his attraction to arts like painting, he enrolled at the Academia de Dibujo y Pintura located nearby in Cabildo Street inside the walled city. The university undertook a fundraising campaign in December 1878 to erect a statue in honor of the university's benefactor and founder, Archbishop Miguel de Benavides. Then, the university rector Father Joaquin Fonseca asked Governor General Domingo Moriones to raise funds from students and professors to fabricate the statue and construct the monument, which needed
30,000 pesos. In his second year of medicine in 1879 to 1880, Rizal took up the following subject, namely General Anatomy and Histology 2, Descriptive Anatomy 2, Exercises of Dissection, Physiology, and Private and Public Hygiene. These subjects were handled by two lay professors, Jose Franco and Carlos Nalda. Rizal remembered Professor Franco in unfavorable terms. Rizal wrote 3 poems, and these are the Abideil Asis I Mahuma in December 8, 1879, a sonnet entitled Filipinas, which was written in February 1880, and the La Juventud Filipina, which won first prize at the Liceo Literario de Manila. It became known for its immortal words when it refers to the youth as the fair hope of the motherland. It was Jose's display of patriotism since he wrote his first poems Sa Aking Kabata on his own. Unlike the poems he wrote at the Ateneo, which were guided by his mentor, Father Rizal, it made him realize that the treats of Professor Franco were not empty ones. Rizal got the consistent grade of Bueno and placed 6th in the class standing. In April 1880, Rizal submitted a literary work which he presented to the Liceo Artistico Literario, which held a contest commemorating the 400th death anniversary of Spain's national poet Miguel Cervantes. It was a play written in praise of Spain's national poet Miguel de Cervantes, in which Jose talked about him being the co-equal of Homer and Virgil. The jury, which was composed of Spaniards, awarded Jose the grand prize. The board of judges of the contest nevertheless stood firm on their decision and awarded Jose the grand prize, consisting a gold ring in which there was an engraved bust of Cervantes. It was the first time a Filipino excelled in the national literary contest, besting the best Spanish writers of the Philippines at that time.
During Rizal's third year in the University of Santo Tomas, there were important events that occurred. On July 3, just as classes began, a powerful earthquake struck, severely damaging the university chapel and other numerous rooms. Classes were suspended and resumed on August 30. During this year, Rizal wrote one-act play entitled Junto al Pasig and was staged at the Ateneo on the occasion of the Feast of Immaculate Conception. The opening of the school year 1881 to 1882 began, and this was the last year for Rizal before deciding to continue his education outside of the island. The photos that you'll see on the screen was Rizal's grade based on the Brody Matriculars of the University of Santo Tomas. To sum up, Rizal took 21 subjects and he was also exempted from Polo E Servicios and from paying Donativo de Zamboanga imposed on all tax-paying citizens. Rizal's grade in UST were compared with those of the Ateneo, and there was also allegations that the education of the university was below standard, and Rizal's decision to study abroad was attributed to these reasons.
The allegations of racial discrimination, bias, and bigotry peddled by many historical writers had no basis in fact. Jose Rizal's depiction of the class in physics and El Filibusterismo did not reflect the true situation in Santo Tomas University. The scenes and characters in his book only existed in his mind. After completing his fourth-year medical studies, he decided to study abroad. Biographers attribute his decision to study abroad to discrimination and bigotry in the university's medical school. Rizal's No Limitang stirred a hornet's nest among the Dominicans when it arrived in Manila in 1887. The Archbishop of Manila sent a copy of the novel to the director of the University of Santo Tomas, Father Gregorio Echeverria. This marked the start of his adversarial relations with the order. Later, a committee sent a report to the archbishop denouncing the Noli as heretical, impious, and scandalous in the religious order, anti-patriotic, subversive of public order, injurious to the government of Spain and of the Philippine Islands in the political order. The next encounter of Rizal with the Dominicans was after his return from Europe in 1887. During his visit to the Philippines, Rizal got involved in a dispute with the administrators of the Calamba estate. Governor General Emilio Terrero suspected the Dominican administrators of not paying proper taxes. He said that the Dominican land holdings comprised not only the lands around Calamba, but the whole town as well as the houses of the people. The hostile situation prompted Governor Terrero to assign Rizal a bodyguard, Jose Taviel de Andrade. Rizal alleged that the Dominicans controlled vast land holdings in Calamba and neighboring towns of Binian, San Pedro, and Santa Rosa, and that they increased their income by arbitrarily increasing the rent of the tenants. A study of the other side of the controversy uncovers that his allegations are not entirely true. The Dominicans did not contribute a centavo for the town fiesta, and high rates of interest were charged for delayed payment of rentals. If rentals could not be paid, the management of the hacienda would confiscate carabaos, tools, and homes of tenants. Rizal's sisters were allowed to hold land leases under very favorable terms in anticipation of Don Francisco Mercado's death. These lands are used to maintain churches and institutions like the University of Santo Tomas and the College of Letran. Income from land holdings also supported the Dominican seminary and missionary work within and outside the Philippines. Rizal was advised to leave the islands for his own safety. His family received death threats on his life. The tenants refused to pay rent and destroyed 50 houses. Rizal's next encounter with the Dominicans was after his deportation to Dapitan in 1892. When the Philippine Revolution broke out in 1896, Archbishop Bernardino Nuzaleda strongly believed that Rizal had something to do with the outbreak of hostilities in Katipunan. He urged the authorities to arrest Rizal and bring him back to Manila for trial. After Rizal was condemned to die by musketry, Bernardino sent the Jesuits to convince him to retract his Masonic beliefs to save his soul. Rizal finally relented then, the evening of December 29, 1896. Nozaleda sent a draft of the retraction, but Rizal rejected it, saying it was too long. He then composed his own version, which was finally signed at 11:30 in the evening. To the church, Rizal was once again a Catholic, and his Masonic and anti-Catholic views were disowned. Rizal died a Catholic.
So that's it. Thank you for listening and for watching.